92.97%. Say that again, 92.97%. That's not a test score. That's not a president's approval rating. And it's definitely not a number fabricated by an overly devoted fandom. That is the public positive reaction ratio attached to one name, Park Jimin, known to the world simply as Jimin of BTS. And when this number was officially announced by the Korea Corporate Reputation Research Institute in their May 2026 brand reputation rankings, word has it that even his fellow BTS members couldn't help but shake their heads in disbelief. Because honestly, a number like that, in an industry as competitive and drama-filled as K-pop, is not normal. It's something extraordinary. So today, we're going to break it all down. What exactly has allowed Jimin to reach a number this phenomenal? What's his secret? And why are even the other BTS members left tipping their hats? Stay until the very end, because in the final segment of this video, I'm going to reveal one fact about Jimin that even many longtime ARMY members might not know. Before we go any deeper, we need to understand first, where does this 92.97% actually come from? Here's the thing. In South Korea, there is an organization called the Korea Corporate Reputation Research Institute, an independent research body that regularly analyzes the brand reputation of K-pop idols. Every single month, they collect massive amounts of big data from millions of data points. And it's not just about counting how many people tweet someone's name. The analysis is far more complex than that, covering 4 core indexes. First, the participation index, measuring how actively the public engages with content related to the idol. Second, the media index, measuring the volume and scale of media coverage surrounding the idol. Third, the communication index, measuring how intensely conversations about the idol are happening across various platforms. And fourth, the community index, measuring the strength and activity level of the idol's fan community. These 4 indexes are combined to produce the Brand Reputation Index score, and from that score, the monthly rankings of individual idols are determined. Now, what makes this particularly unique is that the Institute also conducts a positive-negative sentiment analysis across all those conversations. And this is exactly where Jimin's 92.97% comes in. It means that out of every single public conversation about Jimin in May 2026, a staggering 92.97% was positive. Only a tiny fraction registered as negative. That is an extraordinarily high figure, even by K-pop industry standards. Alright, now let's look at the full picture of the data, because 92.97% is not the only jaw-dropping thing about Jimin's brand standing. In the May 2026 rankings released by the Korea Corporate Reputation Research Institute, BTS's Jimin secured the #1 position in the individual boy group member brand reputation category. His brand reputation index score was recorded at 6,447,417 points, broken down into a participation index of 235,140, a media index of 532,488, a communication index of 2,688,731, and a community index of 2,991,057. In second place was Park Ji-hoon of 101 with a score of 5,510,360, and in third was Jungkook, Jimin's own BTS bandmate, with a score of 5,494,822. But what truly stole the spotlight were the keywords dominating the public conversation around Jimin this month. In the link analysis, the words most frequently appearing alongside Jimin's name were perfect, go wild, and breakthrough. Meanwhile, in keyword analysis, terms like ARMY, World Tour, and Mexico ranked at the very top. That makes complete sense, given that during this period Jimin was riding the massive wave of the BTS World Tour Arirang, BTS's first world tour after nearly 4 years away due to mandatory military service. And what's even more remarkable is that this isn't the first time Jimin has posted reputation numbers this extraordinary. If we look at his track record over time, in July 2025, Jimin's positive ratio reached 94.05% with a brand reputation index score of 8,183,409, a 17.16% increase from the previous month. In May 2025, his positivity rate sat at 93.02% with a peak brand score of 8,298,417. In December 2025, he recorded a 92.07% positive ratio with 6.9 million total points. And in February 2026, he crossed the 92% positive threshold again, marking his 32nd consecutive #1 ranking. This is not a coincidence. This is a consistent, documented pattern that has held firm across years. Now let's put this into context with Jimin's other career achievements, so we can truly understand why 92.97% is not just a stroke of luck. August 2024, Jimin made history. His solo song, Who, became the longest-running #1 by a K-pop soloist in Billboard Global 200 chart history. Before that, with Like Crazy, in April 2023, Jimin had already made history as the first Korean soloist to debut at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The first Korean soloist to debut at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, on America's biggest music chart, a chart dominated by Western artists for decades. And Jimin did it. Moving on, November 2024, Who surpassed 1 billion streams on Spotify in less than 118 days from its release. The speed at which that milestone was reached was nothing short of phenomenal. And from the brand reputation track record side, Jimin has now claimed the #1 position in the individual boy group brand reputation rankings 51 times since first achieving it in December 2018. He once held that top spot for 35 consecutive months. Think about that. 35 months in a row. Nearly 3 full years without once dropping from the top. In an industry that moves as fast as K-pop, where trends flip in a matter of weeks, that is a level of dominance that borders on impossible. And even when Jimin was in the military, meaning no active promotions, no new content, no direct interaction with fans, his name continued to appear at the top of the rankings. His influence knows no pause. Now, here's the part you've all been waiting for. What is the actual secret behind Jimin's dominance? We're not going to talk about natural talent or luck, because those are easy answers, and they're not honest ones. Jimin isn't just talented. There's something far deeper at work that sets him apart. The first factor is relentless consistency. Jimin is widely known within BTS as the last person to leave the practice studio. Not occasionally. This is a habit that has been documented across more than a decade. In various BTS interviews and content, other members have repeatedly pointed to Jimin as the one who works the hardest. RM has mentioned that when everyone else has gone home, Jimin is still in the studio. Jhope, himself BTS's main dancer, has acknowledged that Jimin operates at a different level of dedication. And this isn't about unhealthy overtraining. This is about a consistent commitment to a high standard every single day, year after year. The result? At an age when most idols begin to plateau, Jimin's performance quality keeps rising. That's what keeps the public unable to look away. The second factor is an authenticity that moves people. In an era of social media where everything can be filtered and polished, authenticity is the rarest currency, and Jimin has it in abundance. He is known for making his fans feel genuinely seen and genuinely loved. Not because he delivers the right words from a PR script, but because his emotions are real, his vulnerability is real, and his love for ARMY feels real. When he performs on stage, Jimin doesn't just sing and dance. He tells stories with his body. Every movement feels like a sincere expression of emotion, not just memorized choreography. And that is reflected directly in the numbers. When 92.97% of all public conversation about someone is positive, that means people feel connected to that person. And genuine connection cannot be bought or manufactured. The third factor is unusual artistic courage. Many K-pop idols play it safe. They choose concepts that have already proven marketable, sounds that have already proven popular. Jimin does not. With his debut solo album Face in 2023, Jimin took a significant artistic risk, blending pop, R&B, and synth-based production in a package that was unconventional by K-pop standards at the time. The result? Like Crazy, went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Then with his second album Muse in 2024, he pushed the boundaries again. The song, Who, which sounds musically distinct from most K-pop songs out there, became a global phenomenon, staying at the top of the Billboard Global 200 longer than any K-pop soloist before him. The courage to be different is what makes Jimin relevant across generations and across cultures. It's also why words like perfect, go wild, and breakthrough dominate the public conversation about him, because people see Jimin as someone who continuously exceeds expectations. The fourth factor is a relationship with ARMY that goes beyond a typical fandom dynamic. ARMY, BTS's fanbase, is one of the most loyal and organized fan communities in the world. But among all BTS members, Jimin's relationship with his fans carries a distinct character. He is frequently described as the member who is most emotionally present for his supporters. He remembers small details. He responds with warmth that feels genuine, and he never appears to take his fans for granted. Even when Jimin was no longer actively promoting, during his military service, for example, ARMY kept his name alive. They organized fan projects, circulated older content, and ensured Jimin remained relevant in the public conversation. That is a loyalty that cannot be bought, and it only grows from a relationship built with sincerity over many years. It's also important to understand the context in which this 92.97% reputation figure emerged, because the timing is not a coincidence. In April 2026, BTS officially returned after nearly 4 years away from performing as a group, following the mandatory military service completed by all 7 members in turns. And they did not come back half-heartedly. They returned with the BTS World Tour Arirang, a world tour spanning more than 34 cities and 79 shows. The tour opened in Goyang, South Korea on April 9, 2026, before moving through Tokyo, the United States, Mexico City, and major cities across the globe. This was BTS's first full-scale concert tour since permission to dance on stage in Las Vegas in April 2022. More than 4 years of waiting. And when those doors finally opened again, the world erupted. It was within this context that Jimin's name, alongside keywords like World Tour and Mexico, exploded in public conversation. The global enthusiasm that had been accumulating through 4 years of military service finally overflowed, and Jimin, as one of the most anticipated returning members, became the central focal point. In Las Vegas, one of the tour stops, Jimin's performances became their own viral phenomenon. Fan cam videos capturing moments of Jimin on stage spread like wildfire across social media platforms, igniting a fresh wave of positive conversation that contributed directly to that 92.97% figure. Now, let's be fair, because this video is not about Jimin versus the other members. BTS is a group of 7 extraordinary talents, each with their own remarkable achievements. But in the context of brand reputation, there's something genuinely interesting to note. In the May 2026 rankings, Jungkook came in 3rd place with a score of 5,494,822, roughly a million points behind Jimin. That's not a negligible gap, but it's also not an uncrossable one. What it tells us is that the competition among BTS members themselves is fierce and real. And the fact that Jimin has consistently led, not once or twice, but dozens of times across years, is what makes it remarkable. It's also worth noting that in the individual idol category, which includes both male and female idols, Jimin has been consistently dominant at the top, meaning he isn't just leading among male artists. He's competing against and outranking female idols who also carry massive fan communities. In May 2025, for example, 2nd place in the individual idol category went to Jang Won-young of IV, one of the most popular girl group idols today, and Jimin was still above her. That is a level of dominance rarely seen, even in an industry that has already produced many icons. If you think this video is only for ARMY, you're wrong. There is something anyone can take away from the Jimin phenomenon, even those who have never listened to a single BTS song. The first lesson: consistency beats raw talent. The industry is full of talented people who disappear. The ones who endure are those who show up every day, without excuse and without exception. The second lesson: authenticity is a competitive advantage that cannot be replicated. In a world flooded with polished content and manufactured personas, being genuinely yourself is the most powerful strategy of all. The third lesson: build relationships, not just an audience. Jimin doesn't have a 92.97% positive sentiment rating because he has millions of followers. He has it because he genuinely nurtures his connection with the people who support him. The fourth lesson: take artistic risks. Playing it safe might feel comfortable, but it rarely produces something that gets remembered. Jimin's courage to experiment musically is precisely what keeps his name in the conversation. Before we wrap up, let me drop a few bonus facts about Jimin that will make 92.97% feel even more earned. Bonus fact number 1. Jimin is one of only 2 BTS members to have topped the Billboard Hot 100, the Billboard Global 200, and the Billboard Global XGL US chart simultaneously, and he did it with different songs. Like Crazy for the Hot 100 in 2023, and Who for the Global 200 in 2024. The other BTS member to achieve something similar is Jungkook. Bonus fact number 2. Who became the first solo K-pop song to spend more than 1 week at #1 on the global Spotify chart. On a chart that moves incredibly fast and is brutally competitive. That is an achievement that defies expectation. Bonus fact number 3. Jimin is a writer and co-composer for nearly all of his solo material, including songs like Lie, Serendipity, and Filter from the BTS group Era, all the way to Like Crazy and Who in his solo career. He is not just a performer. He is a creator with a clearly defined artistic voice. Bonus fact number 4. In the KOMCA, Korea Music Copyright Association, database, Jimin is registered as a writer and co-composer for over a dozen songs. This demonstrates that his contribution to the Korean music industry is not just at the level of popularity, it exists at the level of formally recognized artistic creation. So, what is the secret behind 92.97%? After walking through all of it, the data, the records, the context, and the factors driving it all, the answer turns out not to be one single thing. It is the accumulation of many things done right, consistently, over the course of more than a decade. Consistency that never lets up. Authenticity that never fades. Artistic courage that never fears failure. And a relationship with fans that was built not from PR calculations, but from genuine love. Park Jimin did not become a phenomenon overnight. He became one because every single day, he chooses to be the best version of himself. And that 92.97%? It's not just a statistic. It is a reflection of how the world responds to someone who is truly present, truly working, and truly cares. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments. In your opinion, what factor contributes most to Jimin's extraordinary reputation? Is it his music, his performances, or his relationship with ARMY? See you in the next video. Stay purple, everyone. Purple Heart.